host and star of the show, Chuck Barrett.
Thank you, and welcome to the Gong Show, the program that offers relatively unknown talent a chance to be seen on television coast to coast. Now, we have an unusual selection of amateur and professional talent backstage, and each act will have the opportunity to impress our panel of wonderful celebrities. Now, the celebrities will rate them, and they'll rate them at the highest score. At the end of the show, will receive our coveted Gong Award and this remarkable check for $516.32. Thank you, Sylvia Alford. And that act may be eligible to come back for our playoffs and another opportunity later on in the season. Now, remember, if after 20 seconds, one of our celebrities feels that the act is not worthy of continuing, he or she will smash that wretched old gong like this. There it is. That's the way it goes, and that's all for the act. But anyway, the show's fun. I hope you enjoy it. And let's begin today's Gong Show with an accountant who is a little unbalanced. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan O. Come over here. Dan-O. That's marvelous. Very good. I don't know how you remember all those words. It's really good. We have a wonderful bunch of celebrities today, and we're going to be back to meet them and find out how they rate Dan-O and his wonderful little cheeks right after this message. Welcome back to the Gong Show. Now, remember, we'll be rating our celebrities will be rating our acts on a scale of 1 to 10, right? And that's based on ability and creativity and entertainment value, okay? So now let's meet our celebrity guest. First, the star of Happy Days, a young man who gave up summer camp just to be with us today, Anson Williams.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Anson, what do you think of Dan-O and his chops?
Yeah. Dan, how long have you been smoking your bird seed? That's what I thought. No, well, I think about a 5.
That's good. 5. That's not a bad start. All right, now let's move right on to a lady who will be playing with the Cleveland Symphony Orchestra in Ohio on the 22nd of this month. The First Lady of Craziness, Phyllis Diller. Hiya, Phyllis. Phyllis, what do you think of Dan-O?
Well, he may be the first entertainer ever molested by a sparrow. Well, I don't know just quite what to do with him, so I gave him a 4.
All right, there's a 4. All right, we're moving on. All right, we're happy. We're happy to have with us the superintendent from the series One Day at a Time, my good friend Pat Harrington. Pat.
Hi, Chuck. Hi, Dan.
Pat, how do you rate Dan-O?
I think if they were still doing Maria Montez films, he'd have a future in the business. Steve Allen is a great bird caller, and I have to compare him to Steve, and he's not quite up to Steve yet, because Steve does use his left hand, which I noticed you didn't. But I gave him a 6.
All right, 6. That gives you a total, Dan, of 15. You're our first act. You're the act to beat. And thank you for being with us on the Gong Show today. Dan-O. All right. As you know, the winner of today's Gong Show will receive that coveted award. That's our little Emmy, our Oscar, the Gong Award, and that check for the incredible sum of $516.32. And, of course, everybody knows that they may get gonged. I mean, life is a gong. What are you going to say? So they're all taking the same chance. The main thing is that everybody's having fun, and that's all we care about. So let's move right along and meet act number 2, all right? Here is a lady who calls herself the aristocratic cat. Let's hear it for Penny Rupert.
Goes on a prairie like an alley cat, looking for some can't trust him out of his sight. There's no doubt of that. He just don't know right. Like the alley cat. All he needs is oh, that's no way to treat you. She should tell him. Enter alley cat. And that's the side of love I know
Penny Rupert with her little costume. Isn't that nice? You have the cutest tights. I like it. Oh, give it a step. That was really good. Let's find out what our celebrities think of Penny Rupert. Yeah, that was a step. All right, let's start off with Phyllis Diller. Phyllis?
I didn't know my sister was going to be here today. It's the same outfit. I got that same outfit. I think maybe a cup of warm milk and a little rest.
A 9.
A great big 9.
Wow, that's not good, Penny. That's a 9. All right, let's move right along to Pat Harrington.
Frankly, I was all set to gong her until I saw the dance steps.
Yeah.
I think that with a little more work, I gave her a 2.
You can't win them all, Penny. Let's go right on to Anson Williams. Anson?
Yeah. Well, I think Earl Carroll's alive and well, and I gave her an 8 for guts.
An 8 for guts. That's a good score. That's fine. That gives you a total of 19 points. 19 points, and if I'm not mistaken, that's a new leader. That's a new leader. Yes. Penny Rupert. Penny held on to my finger, and I couldn't applaud. And that was marvelous. We'll be back with more of this wonderful entertainment right after this, and that's it.
And the Gong Show.
Thank you. Welcome back to the Gong Show. Now let's meet Act 3, all right? Here's someone who still believes in Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. And I don't mean Gerald Ford. I mean 5-year-old Carol Marion. Gong, a sound of a gong. Look at these little knees. How could you gong knees like that? Anyway, why did you gong knees like that, Anson?
Because I'm a mean guy.
You're a mean
No, I'm saving her life. I think she should watch Mickey Mouse Club and drink milk
and things like
and
that.
have her mother See the shrink.
That's wonderful. But wasn't it fun? I mean, here we were. All the kids at the candy store can see you. It's just been great. Thank you for being with us, and you're going to get a big prize for being on the show. And I can't stand up, so I'll say we'll be back with more right after this message. Welcome back to the Gong Show. Now it's time to meet Act 4. I want you to watch and be amazed by the imaginative sorcery of John Patton.
One goes over the bottle, one goes over the glass. This is the glass, this is the bottle. We get rid of the bottle, that leaves the glass. The bottle's here, the tubes are empty. One goes over the glass, one goes over the bottle. Get rid of the bottle, that leaves the glass. The bottle's here, the tubes are empty. One goes over the glass, one goes over the bottle. Get rid of the bottle, that leaves the glass. The bottle's here, the tubes are empty. One goes over the glass, one over the bottle. Get rid of the bottle, it leaves the glass. The bottle's here, the tubes are empty. One goes over the glass, one goes over the bottle. If we remove the bottle, that leaves the glass. The bottle's over here. The tubes really are empty. Now, if we got rid of the glass... Wait a minute, let's get this back here. We got rid of the bottle, that leaves the glass. The bottle's here, the tubes are empty. One goes over the glass, one over the bottle. Get rid of the bottle, that leaves the glass. The bottle's here, the tubes are empty. One goes over the glass, one over the bottle. Get rid of the bottle, get rid of the bottle. That leaves the glass. Get rid of the glass. A snap of the fingers, the glass returns. That's magic.
John Patton. That was very, very good. All right, now, John, you've got your lot of bottles and glasses. We're going to find out now what our celebrities think of that act of yours, and we're going to go right to Pat Harrington. Pat?
I'm in the middle of a number here.
All right, well, Pat's in the middle of a number.
I gave him a 5.
There it is, a 5 for your imaginative sorcery. Very good. Let's go to Anson Williams.
Well, I doubled that. I gave him a 10.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
That's 0.1.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, Phyllis Diller.
Well, you know, I was terribly critical because I have done levitation myself. One time, Fang sat on my knitting needle. I gave him a red-hot 4.
There you go, a 4. And that gives you, John Patton, a total of 19, and that ties you with our leader, I believe. Very good. There you go. We now have a tie. All right. I think that's terrific. Thank you very much, John, for being with us. A big hand for John Patton. All right, now, we're going to be rolling right along. We're going to roll right along. We're going to introduce our next act. Next, we have a young lady who would like to go on saying she's no relation to Congressman Hayes. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Linda Hayes. Come to a stop for a second because the gong has been sounded. And why was that gong sounded on dear old Linda and her grass?
Well, she looks like a gigantic floor waxer.
Well, now there it goes. A gigantic floor waxer. Well, what do you think? In any case, I kind of like a floor waxer, and it's nice to have you on the show, and you'll get a little present for being here. And let's have a nice hand for Linda Hayes. Nice to be here, Linda. We'll be back with more of the Gong Show right after this message. Show. All of our acts have been wonderful tonight, today, this afternoon, but we have a tie. We have a tie between John Patton and Penny Rupert. So why don't we bring the two out here right now? John Patton and marvelous magic, Penny Rupert, and her wonderful kite. All right, now our audience meter is working. We have an applause meter, and we're going to depend on the audience to pick a winner. So ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it now for Penny. There you go, Penny. How nice. All right. Penny and her little frills. Fine. Okay? And now let's hear it for John. And that means that our winner is Penny Rupert. Yeah! Penny, here's this. Now, Penny, it gives me great pleasure, Penny, to present you with this Gong trophy and this wonderful check for $516.32. It's all yours, Penny. You were wonderful. I want to thank all of our acts today on our Gong show. Everybody, come on around here. Come on down here, Carol. Thank everybody. Thank our acts. Thank our wonderful celebrities, Anson, Phyllis, Diller, and Pat Harrington. And thank you. And we'll see you tomorrow on The Gong Show. Very good.